If you've watched every World Cup since you were a kid and this one still feels off to you somehow, you're not imagining it. This tournament genuinely is different. Structurally, competitively, and emotionally. From every single one that came before it. Here's why that matters. A lot of longtime fans have been confused all tournament, sensing something's changed but not being able to name it. So let's name it. Every reason this World Cup feels different, explained Fast, so you can finally stop feeling like you're watching a slightly unfamiliar version of the sport you grew up with. Stick around, because the biggest reason isn't even about the format. Let's start with the obvious one. 48 teams. That's 16 more than any World Cup before it. In theory, more teams just means more games to sit through. In practice, it means an entirely different competitive rhythm from the opening whistle. This sounds simple. It isn't. More teams means more storylines, more debutante nations, and more chances for something nobody predicted to actually happen. Here's where longtime fans get tripped up the most. Groups used to have 4 teams. Now they have 3. There's also an entirely new knockout round, the round of 32, that simply didn't exist in older tournaments. You know the type of adjustment that feels small until you actually watch a match and something feels off? This is that. If your brain is still running on the old 4-team group logic, half the tension in these games won't make sense to you. This World Cup isn't hosted by a single country. It's spread across the United States, Canada, and Mexico. In theory, that's just a logistics decision. In practice, it changes the entire feel of the tournament. Different climates, different time zones, different atmospheres from one host city to the next. This isn't the compact, single-nation event older fans grew up with. It's something closer to a traveling continental festival that happens to have a trophy at the end of it. Here's where it gets interesting. This tournament has been genuinely brutal for the traditional powerhouses. Germany went out early. Several other historically dominant teams have been knocked out sooner than anyone expected. This sounds like normal World Cup chaos. It isn't. The frequency of it this time has been unusually high. And that's not really luck. Expanded formats and tighter groups mean there's simply less room to survive a bad day. One slip, and even a giant can be gone. This tournament has produced breakout stars from places that almost never get this kind of spotlight. Teenage midfielders outplaying elite opponents, substitutes deciding knockout matches in minutes, debutante nations holding their own against former champions. This sounds like a nice side story. It isn't. It's becoming one of the defining features of this specific World Cup. So here's the real answer. This isn't just a bigger version of the same tournament. It's a fundamentally different competitive environment. More teams, tighter margins, more unpredictability, and genuinely more opportunities for the unexpected to happen on the biggest stage in the sport. So here's the big idea. This World Cup feels different because it actually is different, expanded, restructured, and far less predictable than any version that came before it, which means the sport itself is being tested in a completely new way, live in real time. So here's a question worth sitting with. If this format keeps producing more chaos, more shocks, and more unforgettable moments than the old one ever did, would you actually want FIFA to go back? If this helped you finally understand why this tournament feels so different, subscribe, because there's a lot more of this new era still left to explain.